The wind cut through the dimly lit alley like a blade, rattling the tin roof of a small mechanic's workshop on the edge of town. Inside, Samuel Harrison, known simply as Sam to everyone who passed through, wiped the grease off his hands with an old rag. His shop was cold, his heater barely working, and his stomach growled from a dinner he couldn't afford. But Sam didn't complain. He never did. Just as he was about to close up for the night, a faint sound carried through the howling wind, a car engine sputtering, then dying. Seconds later, a loud knock echoed on the garage door. When Sam pulled it open, the sight startled him. A woman, shivering in the falling snow, her expensive-looking coat dusted with frost, stood there. Behind her was a sleek black luxury car stalled out, its headlights dimming. She looked out of place in the grimy workshop, her eyes filled with desperation. "Please," she said, teeth chattering, "my car broke down a broken bar. I don't know what to do." Introducing the struggle, Sam glanced at the car. He didn't have to be a genius to know it wasn't like the old trucks and beat-up sedans he usually worked on. That machine was a beast of German engineering, top of the line. His tools were old, his equipment outdated. But then he looked at the woman again. She wasn't just inconvenienced, she was freezing. Her lips trembled, and her hands were raw from the cold. "Come inside," Sam said gently. "We'll figure it out." She hesitated, but when another icy gust swept through, she quickly stepped in. The shop smelled of oil and metal, but it was warmer than outside. Sam handed her his only extra jacket, one he used when he worked under cars. It was too big, worn at the elbows, but she clutched it like it was a lifeline. "Your broken bar kind," she whispered. Sam shrugged, trying not to make a big deal out of it. "You do the same for me." The act of kindness. Sam examined the car under the dim light. The alternator was shot, the battery drained. He didn't have the parts for a car that fancy small-town shop did. "I'm afraid I can't fix it tonight," he admitted, scratching his neck. "But I can charge the battery, give you enough power to make it into the city. There's a dealership there that'll take care of you." The woman nodded, grateful but embarrassed. "How much will it cost?" Sam looked at her, then shook his head. "Nothing." "You're freezing. Let me help you." Her eyes widened. She was used to being charged extra, taken advantage of, especially when she looked vulnerable. But here was a man who had nothing, offering what little he had without expecting a thing in return. As the battery charged, Sam made her a cup of instant coffee from the old kettle he kept by his desk. They sat together in silence, listening to the hum of the charger and the storm outside. "Why are you so kind?" she asked suddenly. Sam smiled faintly. "Because I know what it's like to be stuck. Someone once helped me when I was down. Guess I'm just paying it forward." The twist. By midnight, the car was running again. Sam guided her out to the main road, watching until her taillights disappeared into the snowy night. He went back to his shop, exhausted but content. He didn't even know her name. The next morning, Sam returned to his usual grind, fixing old cars for neighbors who sometimes paid in cash, sometimes in favors. He lived day to day, paycheck to paycheck. Life was tough, but his heart was steady. 3 days later, a brand new SUV pulled up outside his shop. Sam stepped out, confused. Out came the same woman, this time warm, confident, and smiling. But she wasn't alone. With her was a sharply dressed man in a tailored suit. "Mr. Harris?" the man asked. Sam nodded slowly. The man extended his hand. "I'm Richard Vaughn, CEO of Vaughn Automotive." Sam blinked. Vaughn Automotive was one of the largest luxury auto companies in the world, the kind that made the very car that had broken down outside his shop. The woman stepped forward, her voice warm. "Sam, I never thanked you properly. This is my brother, the company of Broken Bar at Sours." Sam's jaw tightened in surprise. He had helped not just a woman stranded in the snow, but the sister of one of the most powerful men in the automotive world. The opportunity. Richard studied Sam with curiosity. "My sister told me what you did, how you refused payment." How you gave her your jacket and stayed up fixing her car with tools that shouldn't even be able to handle that model. Sam rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. I just did what anyone would do. Richard's expression hardened. No, most people wouldn't. That's why I'm here. He handed Sam a card. I need men like you, people who don't just fix cars, but care about the people behind the wheel. Come work for me. We'll start you in the city, at one of our premier shops, full benefits, a real salary. Sam stared at the card like it was unreal. His whole life, he had been scraping by, barely holding his shop together. Now the CEO of a billion-dollar company was offering him a chance at something more. Yeah, broken bar. I don't know what to say, Sam whispered. Say yes, Richard replied simply. The emotional climax. That night, Sam sat alone in his workshop, the card rested on the workbench, glowing under the lamp. He thought about his father, who had taught him the trade but died before Sam could ever make him proud. He thought about the nights he'd gone hungry, the times he'd almost lost the shop, and he thought about the woman in the snow at the moment he chose kindness, even when he had nothing. Tears stung his eyes as he realized that single choice had changed everything. The next morning, Sam locked up the shop for the last time. He carried only a small bag of tools, his most trusted Oneza, and the dream of a better future. When he arrived at the Vaughn Automotive headquarters, the staff greeted him with respect. Richard himself shook his hand firmly. The woman whose name he finally learned was Emilia smiled warmly. Welcome to the family, Sam. The uplifting conclusion. Months passed, and Sam's life transformed. He worked with cutting-edge cars, trained under master engineers, and even led a team. His ideas about affordable maintenance programs for struggling families caught Richard's attention, and soon, Sam wasn't just fixing cars, he was shaping the company's future. But more than the money or the success, what mattered most was that he never lost his heart. Sam continued to live by the same principle that had brought him there, kindness first. One snowy evening, much like the night it all began, Sam stood outside the headquarters. He looked up at the bright Vaughn Automotive sign and smiled. A poor mechanic no longer, yet still the same man who once offered his jacket to a stranger in need. Because sometimes, the smallest act of kindness doesn't just warm one life via broken bar, it changes them all.